Hello, everybody, and welcome to Angel Meadows Conversation with Friends. My friend tonight is Jacqueline Mitchell. She's from New Zealand. I'm not going to say exactly where in New Zealand because I'm sure I'm going to torture the name. Oh, look, Brian's coming in. Yay! Okay. Let's see if I can get the little tidbits that I've got about Jacqueline, but then I'll let you introduce yourself. Okay, just Jacqueline's an artist, and I think an amazing artist, and it's the very first time I got to see her art, so I'm like, yee. And I'm going to share a few pictures with you guys when we start talking about art. And she is, oh my goodness, she's a medium, she's a counselor, she's an awesome mom, and she's a great friend. And she just amazes me every time I talk to her. It's kind of intimidating when it's like, I want to have a conversation. And then she goes into Jacqueline mode and is like, no!
It's because I'm nosy.
That's fine. It's okay. I prepare myself to having a conversation with you, and then all of a sudden it's a different kind of conversation that I wasn't prepared for, but I should be really prepared for. It's like, this happens all the time. So silly. So Jacqueline, introduce yourself to everybody in the chat room and who's going to be listening.
Hi everybody, I'm Jacqueline. I live in the South Island of New Zealand, in Amberley, a place called Amberley, and we're just coming into our autumn at the moment, which is really hard work. So I'm sure other places around the world are coming into summer. Bless you, lucky you.
Spring, we're trying.
Yeah. So I live on a farm. I actually think that I've turned into a little bit of a guru on a hill. And I read full time, and I have done for the past 8 years. I've been like this my whole life, but in terms of evolution and how people evolve on their spiritual journey, it's been quite a little bit of my own evolution to accept that I like that. So when Spirit asked me to give up my job as an accountant, and work with Spirit full time, that was quite confronting for a lot of people around me, and probably even more confronting for me, because I had to work out my own acceptability and allowing myself to actually explore the spiritual side. And now I help other people to do that, to accept this side of you, and also help them to actually understand the wounds that they've carried, genetic programming, meeting guides. Gosh, the sky's the limit when it comes to spirit. So it's very interesting. And as Mama Dee says, I paint as well. That's my art away from people. And I have a very, very strong pull to painting nature, stones, anything that's really simplistic in its beauty as well. So pretty much that's me in a nutshell. I have 2 teenagers, and kind of look after them as well as juggling people. So life on the earth plane is amazing, and I help people to try and remember that as well when we're getting caught in stuff. I'm a very big picture person, and people forget that the big picture sometimes doesn't include getting caught up in the little stuff. I always say it's about us. We end up clutching our jigsaw puzzle piece when it's actually just a jigsaw puzzle piece, and there's a bigger jigsaw puzzle basically. So that's me.
Great. Okay, so we're going to talk about your art first, okay? And
Okay.
I think this one is okay. Everybody, you know how to change your styles, right? So I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to go bird's eye view so that we can. I don't know how to do this for everybody. I know I should way. So that I don't know how to do it. Everybody, you know where to change your view of your cameras. Go down there and change it to bird's eye view. Then this way you get a nice big picture of what this is. And this, when you first shared it, I asked Jacqueline to share me some pictures so that we could talk about her painting. And this was the first one. And if it wasn't for the extras around, which I left, I actually it was a real picture. I actually thought like you were like that was a photograph of something. I was like, no, wait a minute, that's not an it's easel. It is like I think this one is called Granddad's picture. Granddad's tractor.
Sure. That is actually, I paint what I call a lot of memory paintings. So I paint them from the memories that I have growing up. And my grandfather lived at the very, very top of the North Island, in a place that is really beautiful. And he had this grotty old tractor that we would trundle over to the beach on. And I never forgot many happy memories. So when I was looking on the internet one day, the tractor is still alive. And so I thought I have to paint that. So I painted Granddad's tractor. So pretty much that's what I call a memory painting.
It is really nice because, like I said, it looks to me, I thought it was an actual photograph. For me, I may not physically paint, but when I see art that I like and it makes me think that it's an actual, it's a picture of the real thing, I was like, to me, it's awesome. So like this one is absolutely adorable, and I love the little details of the little things in the sand. Like it's not just clear sand. Like there's little details that you do in here, and other ones that it's like, okay, it could be grass, but that's not grass. That's like seaweed or something that's in the.
Yeah, that's the problem with being an accountant. If you're an accountant, you're a details person. So I can't get away from painting details. So it's a spin-off from the accountancy side of me, I think.
Okay. An accountant draws details as well as accounting. Yeah, that would make. Okay, there's another one. Let's see if I can. This is one that when I saw all of the pictures, this is the one that drew my attention first. Here we go. What lies beneath? I think it's simple, but it's not so simple because you can. And isn't it pretty? Because you can see so much. Okay, you can see a little red dot. That's me. You can see so much just in the background, and then it makes you think. Like, I didn't know the title of it, but I'm going. Is that when I saw it, I said, "My, is that bottle broken underneath? Is it full?" And it's. I like. This is my favorite of all the ones you're going to see tonight, guys. This is my most favorite.
It's a very big painting. It's 5 foot by 4 foot wide, and it's called What Lies Beneath. And it was when I was going through a phase of just being really horrified about what we hide in our oceans, and what lies beneath what we think is a tranquil setting, but also emotional. So anytime that you have an association with the ocean or a lake, you're actually dealing with emotional stuff. So we have a tendency to hide all our fractured and broken emotions beyond the surface of ourselves, and it's always what is more important is what lies beneath. So that's how that painting actually ended up coming about. So it's still blended, it's ocean, but it's also emotional stuff that we hide from ourselves as well.
Okay, that figures. I had luck for myself. That's huge.
It's a massive painting. It was a massive. The lady that bought it had a very white house with turquoise tonings, and she just loved it. But yeah, if you want to express yourself, go big in paintings. It's very, very good for your soul to paint extremely big canvases. So.
Okay, well, everybody be prepared because this one I'm going to try painting. Oh lordy! I have a specific tree that I paint, which is in one of your pictures. Let's see if I can find it. This one. This one you pulled up for me, and I was like, wow, this tree in the back. That is, I don't know why, but when I do draw pencil drawings of trees, that's my favorite. I actually have a painting that I have no idea where I got it. That it's what I call a winter tree. The tree is black and you have a little bit of snow on it, but it's that type of tree. There's no leaves. But I like this and explain this one. Constraints of time.
This is a constraints of time, and I sent it to you because it's basically a pressure painting, very much Salvador Dali moment that I was going through. So woman in particular, which is why she's in the hourglass, driven by pressures of time. So we have the death chain in the background and time melting off the tree. And then the pot boiling over, the choice of children, and we basically can consider ourselves rotting fruit. The highway is symbolic of the life as we go through as well. So the constraints of time is always about the perception that we put on ourselves that we're running out of time relentlessly to do all the things that we want to do. Yet in reality, time is just a perception anyway. So it's so interesting to, where we get caught up in the stuff rather than actually giving ourselves permission to actually be fully present in our lives without pressure. We don't do that very easily. So I sent you constraints of time because quite often you put that pressure on yourself to be everything to everybody and end up, feeling quite pressured by all of that as well. So it was an interesting painting to paint. And it was really fun to try and incorporate everything that I could think about. So,
hi, Lisa. As Scott put into the chat room, it would make an interesting tarot deck. Is that something you've ever thought of doing? When you
I
do your
have a
paintings?
deck, a spiritual growth deck that I have actually designed. It's for spiritual growth. It's to remind you that on your pathway you're always learning. And sometimes it's quite confronting to actually pull out a card in that one and be confronted by ego or paying attention to a chakra. The designs that take, if you've got that's a 52 deck spread that I've done, and the time it takes to do each individual design or painting for 52 decks cards is really quite a long time. So
So you said you've already made this deck?
Yes, I already have a spiritual growth deck. So it's for
and is it in printing? Like, I get it.
No, I'm an incredibly lazy person. Distraction, the queen of distraction, I'm called. When I'm in something, I'm doing it. As soon as I've got it completed, then I did that, and then I'll leave it alone. And I've had so many people saying, I love the deck would be great. But it's not finished as usual, so that's the story of my life.
Well, maybe maybe like there's it's gonna go poke prod. I don't know. I was like, okay.
It's I just get very distracted by people. People are walking books to me. They have their current knowledge, their childhood, the past lives, their soul level learning. So as soon as I start doing some things for myself, then rapidly I get distracted by other people again and end up working with them. So it's very easy to put my stuff to the background and actually want to work with other people as well. So I'm in a service lifetime. So in that lifetime, it's easier to serve other people than it is to, to look after what you want to do. So I kind of dabble. It's the best way to describe it.
I like when I'm gonna say when you do get this deck finished eventually in this lifetime, I'm hoping I can help you because if it's your creation, like I said, I love your paintings. Let's get another one up here. Did that one.
I teach people to paint, and we have a workshop that I help. Will take people with depression, and it's really amusing. They will always paint with grey, white, red, and black. So they are the colours of depression. And it's quite interesting to try and encourage other people to use different colours, particularly as their perception. And that's a kind of paint throwing workshop. So you can actually throw out the emotions while you're actually using the paint. Very good for your soul level.
Well, I've put up the next picture that I put up is a gift.
The gift was inspired by the kind of translucent quality of our guides. the fact that they're around us all the time, but into the next realm, so they're visible but not really visible. The gift that they bring in is, the illumination, which is what's in the hands, of understanding as well, if we take the time to listen to our guides. So the gift was always what we have the ways within, but sometimes we can be given from without if we're paying enough attention. So I loved the colours. All sorts of stuff formed in the background of that one. Again, it's a huge painting. It was 5 foot by 4 foot, so very therapeutic to try and incorporate shadowy figures into the background as well.
So now I have to keep up with the 5 foot by 4 foot if that's gonna.
It's good. It takes the pressure away because it's so big that you've really got to stop focusing on all the details sometimes to just painting. Bigger is better. As soon as you give people small canvases, they get very, very anal about trying to get everything correct.
Just use the side. Just use the side of my house. If it was my house, I would, but it's not. I don't think my landlord would appreciate it. I know, but yeah, I can see that because when I think of drawing, and I sort of get detailed oriented, I've got to have this here, I've got to have that here, and if it's just a small thing, I did a show once. I was at a show once, and the gentleman said, "Just send me, a picture of a tree. Draw a picture of a tree, and I'll read from your tree." And I couldn't just do the tree. I had to do, all the stuff that went along with it in my head. And it's like, okay. But now that you say it, it's like, okay. So maybe next time I'll just draw the tree.
Really, really good thing to start with is just like in the background of the gift is the colours that I'm particularly drawn to. High level colours, the indigos of intuition, the purple tones of understanding, the turquoises of overthinking and overanalyzing. So all of those sorts of things blur our ability to connect with spirit. So it's interesting when people say, "Oh, I'm really drawn to those colours." You're drawn to those colours because those colours are usually clouding and blocking your ability to communicate with spirit. So that's what spirit's trying to get through to get understanding to you. So we're very much in our own way 99% of the time. So that's why that picture is also very symbolic about what they're trying to work through to give us the gifts that are uniquely ourselves as well.
This one's pretty, and as in the chat room, a few people have noticed Scott put spooky faces in the background, and I see different things. So along this arm, see a face up, and over here, some people aren't gonna like me. It's not a face. Like a centipede with tons of little legs. Here's the body, here's the head, and there's all the little legs. So
it's basically, the human brain is really fascinating in terms of its interpretation and in terms of how we see. All of those sorts of understandings means that we can, see things from our perspective, and also bring in the ability to kind of look at a wider picture. Or when I teach people about spirit, I usually say, look, if I put a painting in front of everybody, you would be drawn maybe to the hands, to the face in the background. Everybody would have a different perception. Doesn't mean that perception's wrong or right. It just means that you have a different perception, and that's perfectly okay. So, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to get it perfect when we're working with spirit, but what we actually receive from them is actually perfect for us in the communication with them. So overthinking it, or, saying, "Oh my word, I didn't see what you saw," is the worst possible thing we can do with our own gift, basically, because everybody inherently sees something different. In that particular picture, there's meant to be cloudy stuff going in the background to get you thinking about exploring, seeing past what you accept as a reality.
Has everybody got the sound okay? or is it glitchy?
It could be me because I'm live in the country and the internet's not that flash.
Okay, well, we will keep going, and usually I can blame it on Eric and Teddy, but it doesn't even have his ears on yet. One of the things that you said is that you, and it reminded me of a saying that Eric uses that his grandmother's told him. There's no wrong way of connecting with spirit. There's just different ways. And as soon as your pictures, there's no wrong. You don't see anything wrong. Everybody sees it differently. So it's just a different way of connecting to spirit, giving them their the vision that they wants to see who's looking at it, which is really, I like the idea that.
I always say to people, especially when I'm teaching people, that, spirit is working with the Play-Doh of your brain. So the Play-Doh of your brain is completely different from somebody else's brain. It's formed by your experiences, your understanding, your core belief structure. I've been and I've worked in a lot of chat rooms for a very, very long time and seen people shut down because they see something different or we've got something different. And I just think that's such a shame because, if we're rounding out and everybody's bringing in a different perspective through the Play-Doh of their own brain, then you can actually get a much, much wider picture of the whole thing if we just took the time to listen. But human nature sometimes says we have a need for approval and a need to be right. And we can get very caught up on that rather than just accepting that the Play-Doh of each person's brain will see a different perspective or interpret it differently, and we're supposed to. That's really, really crucial.
Yeah. Stan Stan in the chat room says we often hold out our hands during a reading to ask spirit to put something in our hands that relates to the person we are reading for.
That's awesome. Anytime that we're asking spirit to stretch for us, or give us something tangible or give us something different, they will stretch us to accept different either visuals or different objects, and all of that can actually be the different tools to tie in as well. One technique I do tell people to do is it's my morning game. I absolutely love it with spirit. They implemented it. I ask them to show me in the morning before I get up 3 images that I don't know what it is. So they all start out and they might show me a mountain view, and then they'll spin off and they'll show me something completely erratic until after the 3rd one I've got the giggles because it's something completely random. But it's just me doing a connection check-in with them every morning. And plus it's a fun game. You never know what they're going to show you. And it's a great thing to either to do that, to ask them to place something in your hand or give you a visual of something that you don't know what it is. It means that you have to open your mind, your heart and your brain to accepting whatever they're going to show you. It's a great technique to actually stretch your ability to receive stuff. So it's a good idea. Put something in your hand or visualize something. It's great.
I like that idea of but usually when I wake up in the morning, I have about 5 minutes, if that, of stretching and shooing the dog off my chest, looking at me going like, oh, it's time to wake up. So I don't think about, but I think that's something that will slow my wake up down, and I'll shoot the dog away.
The ability of your brain to accept information is faster from the spirit than it is in your current head. So you could have like 3 seconds and you can have 3 images. It's designed for you to step into a allowability with spirit rather than actually getting caught up and having to take the time. I am the queen of 2-minute fixes when it comes to getting information because lots of people have life stuff and they don't have the time to actually sit down and go, I need 15 to meditate or whatever. So anything of the quick fixes, I'm totally into it.
Yeah, I like that because it's like you said, consumes time. I'm gotta do this and I gotta do that. Okay, this like I was prepared for this show to start at 4:30, and then to do this and I had to do that, and it's like, and I got here at I think at 5:30, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop, sit down, and upload the pictures. And it was the first time I was actually sort of pre-prepared, and then I had to take off into something else. So yeah, something that I can do quickly is a major plus. So I'm going to try that one in the mornings, and I'll let you know how that works out. And Cheryl, I do hope you're making enough food for everybody here. Cheryl always cooks, and we like wait for the dinner. But so when now you said we're gonna just sort of go off paintings for a bit, but I'm sure we'll come back to them. When you said you've been connected to spirit all your life,
Yes.
when was the first time that you can say that you knew that specifically before a spirit told you to stop being an account, which I think is totally awesome, that you can specifically say, this is spirit, this is a connection, that it's not just, in the head type of thing?
I've been able to see colours, auric colours around people my whole life, and you didn't really know that other people couldn't see them to the same degree. And it made me, interestingly, loved seeing colours around people during the day, and I was about 4 years old, but hated nighttime because nighttime just seemed to be so dark. And so I'd always be touched by spirit. Like as long as I can remember, about 2 years old, I've always been touched by them or poked by them or pinched by them. And when I got to 4, and this would always happen in the dark, so I was so terrified of going to bed that it was just ridiculous, and I would hide underneath the bedclothes at the bottom of the bed. When I was 4, these beautiful blue hands that only finished at the wrist basically, would come and they would rock me. So only the hands, but they would rock me at night time. And I learnt that there was some other, spaces that weren't on the earth plane where there were people that would look after you. So these blue hands probably stayed with me for about 7 years. They'd rock me to sleep every night. So it had worked out then, even though I could see things that other people couldn't see, that I could still feel safe within the arms of spirit. So pretty much by the time I was 7 and my blue hands disappeared, they were bright royal blue, my great-great-grandmother in spirit would come and collect me into their old farmhouse. We would shell peas and talk to me about how to work with people, how to talk to spirit, all of those sort of things. So I had a lot of training nighttime. I had a lot of training from amazing spirit guides and amazing family connections, because we're from a long line as well. And so there's this lovely capability of recognition from spirit that I couldn't be supported in that from my physical family. So spirit realms actually stepped up, which was actually really fantastic. So it was great. So I learned that was more normal than people kind of being asleep on the earth plane and not really seeing stuff. I had some really hard learning from my mum, because I could diagnose cancer in people from a very young age, and of course children just blurt things out. So I had a tremendous amount of punishment for blurting inappropriate things out. That really helped me to learn a huge amount of discretion the hard way, which I'm terribly grateful for, because I really, I'm inherently nosy, but I think there's tremendous value in keeping your P's and Q's to yourself in the face of other people's privacy. And that's one rule that I have with my students is ask first before you read someone. And and I still can put my foot in it sometimes with people of being too open about what's going on around them when they'd rather, keep it to themselves. So, I think sometimes it's good learning as a child to learn boundaries, but certainly spirit were really, really helpful with those boundaries as well. So it made a very interesting childhood in a good way and in a bad way in some ways.
Yeah. But I think that's something I've learned is to be prepared that when I have very many friends who have a great connection with spirit and have had it for a long time and understood it longer than I have. And so I'm just kind of like I say, when I talk to you, and it's like, not that I don't want to talk to you, but it's like, if I want to, if I'm going to talk to you, I'm like, okay, this show says something. Even though I'm prepared for it, I'm not prepared for it. But I had somebody once tell me something, they go, oh my God, was I supposed to? I said, yeah. I said, I'm open to it, and I'm not, just because I'm not prepared for it doesn't mean I'm not open to it. It just means I'm like, okay, take me a couple of seconds, to get it, to accept it, not, but, just sort of like be prepared for it. I'm like,
Yep.
I was a little girl guide when I was young, a little brownie, and their motto was be prepared. I'm always prepared, even though it just sort of rocks me on my hip every so often.
Years ago, I joined a group, because I did an art group, because I was looking for a place where I fitted and where I belonged, like all of us do. And there was a lovely guy there who's lovely medium. But he taught me something really, really valuable. When you blurt out information and just go on to the next person, how have you kept that person safe? So have you given them information because you thought it was really fantastic? And then have you left them their grief? Have you made sure that they're safe, that they're secure, and that they're supported? Or did you just go blurt and blurt information out that potentially could have actually upset them? That's one of the things that is a huge point of frustration for me, because I end up doing remedial work with people that have actually had, a medium say to them, your partner's going to have a car accident, or I've got that your mother's going to have an illness. It's incredibly important that we take personal responsibility as well for what we actually give to people. So while it can be really fantastic to give messages, we also need to have a level of care that we actually look after the emotional states of people. And it is my pet peeve, because if I'm getting a phone call and the person's distraught because I've been told that their child's going to have an accident or something, we need to be very, very careful at times. It can be wonderful, as I said, to pass on information, but keeping people safe, keeping them secure, and honouring that's part of their journey as well. I mean, spirit will give what I call heads ups. Heads ups are always preventable, and they can add wisdom to your life by saying, hey, get your foot off the accelerator, slow down, pay attention. Those sorts of things are valuable. Saying, oh, you're going to have a car accident, I don't see the value in that. You've just accelerated a fear-based message that the earth plane really struggles with as well. So we're predominantly fear-based humans. To regard that in people is a little bit scary sometimes as well. So I've had some very interesting learning. Everybody forms their own personal ethic, absolutely, completely, utterly. But I think it's one thing for me is it's really important to keep people safe, and keep them supported and loved through any messages, rather than blunt force trauma, which I agree at times can be really helpful, but also can be incredibly helpful as well.
Yeah. Well, something when I first started to open up or reopen up or come out of my spiritual closets, I was very, very careful who I spoke to and who I told and what I told. And one day, one of the women at work found out what I did outside of the job. And she goes, oh, I'll never talk to anybody like that. When I was 16, somebody told me that I was going to die of cancer. When I was 21. And I was like, first off, that person needs to go swift in the pants, because they just sort of left there, and that was being very nice, because they just sort of left it there. And I said, you made changes, right? I said, if you had followed exactly the path you were going when you were 16, we make changes, because at 16, we don't always do. I can remember my daughter saying at 16, I'm moving to California when I'm 18. And my husband was like, oh my God, she's in California. Oh my God. I was like, by the time she's 18, it'll be different. Something will change. She won't want, and she's never moved to California. So I don't suggest. And also I believe that, even if, you say you're going to go out my door and turn left and you get hit by a bus. Go out, turn right, I learned to take things with, like Scott says, a lot of people do take their messages literally. So, somebody would be told, you go out of the house and you're going to turn right and you're going to get hit by a bus, and they're going to still turn right, but they're going to continue to watch. That might have been not the moment of time to say that, but it also makes them pay a little more attention.
Absolutely. Also, at the end of the day, we have to honour other people's choices as well. And, I can see people and they said, oh, you said this to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they go, well, are you going to comment about that? And I said, no, whatever was shared with you was for your interpretation, for your information, and you take whatever out of it. And at the end of the day, you cannot take personal responsibility for how a person's going to interpret something. You could go into work and go, hi, and have the person go, oh, you sounded snappy today. So, you can't take, you can take responsibility, sure, but you can't take responsibility for that person's interpretation. And so quite often, they can literally say, you said this would happen, but this is a free choice realm, as you say. Any point in time, they could take a different step, a different direction, a different play out, because at the end of the day, they are in charge of their own destiny. And I think it's really funny here on the earth plane how many people don't want to acknowledge that, and they would love someone else to make all their decisions for them. But at the end of the day, the universe is responding to us uniquely. You can, for every choice, there's a second choice, third choice, fourth choice. There's so many choices here. So sometimes when you're seeing a reader, you're giving a snapshot of a moment in time that is open to both interpretation and evolution as they change their own journey. And that's the key to remember when you're seeing someone or you're having a reading, is that you can change it. Nothing is set in stone here. And if you do change it, then fantastic. You may have changed it on the information that you got that you didn't like. Woohoo, great. That was what was meant to happen.
Yeah. Exactly. Have you ever had, when you first started out, have you ever had a moment when Spirit gave you a message and you were like, do I really have to say that? It was something that just didn't jive with who you were personally, even though it's got to come out, and it was Spirit. Like now, we know that Spirit gives you the messages. He may use 4-letter words and cuss words and all that, but it doesn't normally come out of your mouth. Has it ever happened that you had to say something or had to pass a message along that normally wouldn't be something that would pop out of your mouth in the normal situation?
Well, I govern it this way. So I put responsibility back onto Spirit. So I say to Spirit, if you know your person extremely well, then you know what your person can accept and what your person can't accept. So if you're asking them to give the information in a way that their person will understand it, then it's always going to be most appropriate for the person. The only really awkward situation that I've been put in, and the lady doesn't mind me saying, is that I had this lovely lady come to my house, and as she walked through the door, all I could smell is, a fart smell, really bad fart smell. And I was like, oh my word, she's like, how stinky, how rude. So we progressed through the reading, and all I could smell was this overbearing, oniony wind smell. And it was ridiculous. So we went through the whole hour with this kind of bottom odor. It was ridiculous. It was awful. And at the end of the reading, she said to me, I just really wanted to know that it was my son. And she said, you've said so many things, but there's got to be something that's really, really indicative that it's him. He was 21, he'd taken his own life. And I said, oh, look, I just have to say this. Oh, the whole time that you've been here, there's this really dreadful odour in the room of wind, like bottom wind and farts. And her mouth just dropped to the floor. She said, you know what that dirty young man used to do? She said he used to store up farts, come over, sit on me and fart really loudly, and then he'd run off laughing. And she said, that's just him. That is him. She said, that's just him to a T. And I remember thinking, gosh, I held on to that for the whole reading, thinking, this is terrible, this woman has a wind problem, when it was actually her person inside. Just wanting to fart on her is to say, Mum, I'm still farting on you from spirit. And it was seriously, we just laughed for ages, because she said, you got him, you've absolutely got him, that's just nailed it for me. So
God, that is so adorable. But yeah, I understand, because like your human mind is going, well, I don't want to embarrass the woman. She's got gas, like you've done that, I don't want to. And it was spirit fart, so that's like, okay, that's nice. And I like the way you're passing bottom wind. I had a mother of an ex-boyfriend. She used to call it fluffing. Girls do not fart, we fluff. So she fluffed. He fluffed.
Exactly. It is, and it's just, sometimes I have to laugh because, you can hold on to a piece of information because you think that's not appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after the reading, you can say, oh, well, this actually came up too. And they go, oh, yes, they used to do that all the time, And it's quite funny to actually see how people actually, what we think is just, it might be inappropriate, might be really, really telling. Another thing that makes me laugh is if there's a male in spirit and he had a very flirty behaviour when he was here, they'll quite often flirt with you. And it's just really that they're just actually trying to show some of their traits that they had when they were actually here. And one lady, I remember saying to her, I said, oh, look, your person's picking their nose, it's disgusting. And she said, oh, yeah, he did that all the time. So sometimes what you can dismiss as just, human habits can actually be the cruncher that the person goes, oh, yeah, perfect, that was exactly what they did. So really funny.
Yeah, well, it's like, I know when Dad is around because he's the only one I ever knew who wore Old Spice cologne. He wouldn't wear anything else, and that's what we would buy him. And I've made that my boys don't wear Old Spice. My husband doesn't wear Old Spice, but sometimes I'll smell it, and it's like, I was like, yeah, hi, Dad. It just, there's no way it can actually be an earthbound smell. It's just not coming from where it's, someone anywhere near me. And so it'll be like, okay. So I will take the Old Spice over the smelly ferns any day.
It was both illuminating for me because I had to accept it, but it was also a little bit confronting too, because how do you talk to somebody about something so personal? But it also was very, very appropriate apparently for this naughty young man in spirit who used to think it was so funny. So, it's about being to roll with what spirit gives you. Not let your kind of rational mind get in the way about what's appropriate and not appropriate, because it can mean nothing to you, but everything to your person as well. So it's important. Now, and part of it is, is accepting what spirit gives you. If you can taste the taste of licorice in your mouth, then pass it on. If you can smell oranges, pass it on. That's not for you. It's for your person, clearly, so it's important.
Have you ever had something come to you when you're not, okay, today, for no reason at all, I had a specific song pop into my head. So I posted it on Facebook because it made no sense to me. Has that ever happened to you? And has somebody finally come back and go, that, like whether it's a message that you're giving at a, I don't know if you do spirit fairs, if somebody sort of like, you have somebody sitting in front of you and you have a message that doesn't connect with the person sitting in front of you, but somebody over there heard it and it's for them. Has that ever happened?
I think because I use focus and intention, And I'm pretty rude at blocking out. If I'm focusing on one person for their reading, because I could quite often read in groups or couples, then I'll block out specifically what is for just that person, and then I'll switch and jump to the next person as well. I mean, Spirit use songs, you know, and it's quite interesting because sometimes the people ask her favourite song with them. Can you please tell me what that favourite song was? And Spirit will come back and they'll give a completely different song, and they'll go, no, that's not my song. And I'll go, can you just listen to the lyrics, because I think you'll find the message in this song is appropriate for you right now, because I think sometimes Spirit's way ahead of the 8 ball about where we're actually at in our lives, and they might have associated a specific song with someone, but that song is actually really, really important lyric-wise for what they're doing right at the moment. And I always wake up with a song in my head every morning, and that song is always to do with what's going to go on during the day. And if a client arrives and they have a song with them or come in with a song, then I'll make sure I pass it on, because it's usually applicable for them as well. So sometimes it's you know, and as I say, the bigger picture stuff, we can have an expectation that this is what's really important right now, but in Spirit's world, you know, play it forward a couple of hours or halfway through the day, and that song is really important. So it's about still just rolling with, I'm going to give it anyway, because somewhere along the way it's going to make sense. So it's quite important.
Well, I couldn't remember the name of the song, so I did Facebook search.
Cool.
The name of the song was Windy.
Well, that's really appropriate, because certainly it was that day. It was very windy.
The conversation we just had about the gift, oh, that was cute. But it just singing over in my head, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. So I just put it there, and I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't have remembered it. I was like, it's gone, and it was the song, and it was a song that I had heard previously, but it's been like a bajillion years, you know. So that was cute. Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Well,
perfect. So it tied in with our windy conversation, which is great.
Exactly. So I was like, okay. Oh gosh. Has there ever been a time where you or somebody has come to you for help or guidance that you just couldn't connect? That there was just wasn't the time or the place or whatever the reason why was, but Spirit just wasn't ready to connect with that person at that time?
It doesn't happen very often, because most people, if they've set the intention they want a reading, then their people in Spirit are already aware that they're coming and they want to actually, you know, do the connection. It's, to be perfectly honest, it's not Spirit that calls it, it's me. So if I have a person who arrives and everything is broadcasting in their colours that they're not going to listen, they're not going to have an open mind, they're going to tell me what they think I should be doing, then I'll call it straight away, and I'll say, I'm really, really sorry, I'm not reading for you. And I'll tell them why I'm not reading for them. When that first happened, I found it incredibly confronting, because I had one lady, she went home and rang her daughter and said, something terrible is going to happen to me because your reader won't read for me. So the daughter rang me horrified and said, look, why aren't you going to read for mum? What's going to happen to her? And I said, look, your mum's not going to listen. Your mum is not going to listen. I'm not going to spend an hour convincing a person to listen to the reading, and she's not going to listen. And she goes, oh, mum's always like that. I'm like, well, good. So it saved me wasting your mum's time, and it saved me wasting my time. So it's not so much Spirit that'll call it, it's me. It's me that'll call it, because I value what I do. And I value the time I spend with people. I haven't found somebody that I can't read as such, as people not being open. So if they're not open to listen, then you may well be pushing the privilege up a hill. Seriously, call it. Don't waste your time, seriously. It doesn't matter what you say, you're not going to reach that person. And sometimes they need the illumination of having someone say no.
Had that
And
once.
that's against when you say, no, I'm not reading for someone, as yourself, and the guilt that you make feel about not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the leader. It's your gift. You decide how you want to use it. You're not a performing seal. You're not at all. Do not make people perform for you. Seriously, it's the rudest possible thing they can do, because then if you have any insecurities about your gift, they'll illuminate it for you and they'll tell you, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. It's wrong. Why would you do that to yourself? Please don't do it. I seriously mean it. And I teach my students to say you're allowed to say no. If someone says, no, you're wrong, then just stop straight away and give them a choice. Would you like me to continue, or do you want me to call it and stop it right here? It's really, really good to give yourself permission to work your gift the way that you want to do, because 9 times out of 10, to be perfectly honest, it's not spirit. Seriously, it is a person blocking you with their lack of openness to be able to freely listen to what you give. That's the way it works.
Yeah, because I've never had, well, I've had a woman who continuously came to me, and on a personal level, I wasn't too impressed with the woman. But she kept coming to wanted a reading, and I kept saying no, and then eventually I just sort of threw my hands in the air. I said, okay, fine. And she came to me, and I gave her what I gave her, and she's like, oh, yeah, okay, I don't get it, but okay, I got it, and then she went off, and I could tell that everything I said to her just sort of in one ear and out the other ear, but she went to people going, oh, Darlene did this, or Mama D, or whatever. I can't remember what she called me at the time. But people are saying like, okay, that's cool, but are you doing what you're supposed to be doing to make? No. So she just wanted the I don't know if it call it status, because I don't think it's all that, I'm all that special that, someone's going to want a reading from me. And I think it was for her, it was status. Like, oh, okay, I got one ready. And it's like, but I was upset to the point that I was like, I'm going to give her her money back. I just wasn't. And then friends were saying, well, like, lawyers do their job, and whether the client listens to them, or whether people listen to them, they still did their job. So I was like, okay, I did tell her, like a dozen times no, and then I just sort of, okay, fine, But so that was my awakening, that I kind of gotta stick to my guns when I feel the no is necessary. Can stick to the guns, because otherwise, it's like you said, what we do is very important, and it's if it's not appreciated, then you're wasting your time as well as the other person's time. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely, because I know Jennifer's just put that in the chat as well. I did a church service one night, and I went to a lady, and she had houses all the way around her. Houses. I said, oh, I've got houses all the way around you. No. And I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to leave you with that, because clearly, if it's not gelling or anything like that, then I'm just going to leave it, because I'll just cut it short. Because if that person is not going to be honest enough or open enough to actually allow you, so I said, look, I'll just finish it up as well. And she said, oh, that's a shame. And I said, no, not really. If you can't take it, then fair enough, I'll leave it. Actually, after the church service, and she said to me, I actually deal in real estate. I didn't want everybody here knowing that. And I'm like, well, that's absolutely fine. She goes, well, can I have the rest of the message? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I'm finished now. You didn't want it at the time, you want everybody else knowing. It's an open church. It's messages. At the end of the day, I volunteer to do this as well. So if you didn't want it, that's absolutely fine. I think sometimes people think, oh, she can actually be a little bit abrupt. But if you're in the message, or you're in the role of the message, then it's whatever is appropriate at that time. If they don't want to take it, it's perfect. It's absolutely fine. But I'm not going to beat myself up about whether they're listening or not, because you have no control over that. You seriously don't. So the best person to call it is yourself, and go, And spirit will sometimes say, if I persist and go, oh, stuff it, I'll read them anyway, they go, no, we're not giving you any information, because they're not going to listen to it, and you're just going to waste your time again. So.
Cheryl in the chat room has asked, have you found there is some people, no matter what you tell them, that they want more want you to do more readings for the same thing?
I have well, Spirit has a 6-month rule. So if someone's had a reading with me, then you can't have another reading for 6 months. So it has stopped people going, can I come and see you every week? Because at the end of the day, there's no more information that you're going to be able to give them. And they really do have to live their lives. It's their lives, because they can get very, very attached to information that you're giving them. And they can just come back for more and more. And at what point do you think, I've had enough? So my rule is 6 months. After 6 months, sure, come back, things match. But if they're wanting to be convinced that the person that they're with is the right person for them, that's their life level learning for themselves. So I pretty much will say to them, if you're wanting a different answer, why don't you create it yourself? So, I'm kind of an educator about people of themselves. And I work with wounded child within stuff and relationship counselling as well. So I'm pretty adept at going, okay, here's some work you need to do with yourself. Here's a technique. So, it's still blended. They always get some seeds to take away where they do get to work on themselves if they choose, and that's okay too. So, you don't read and read and read. You'll just kill yourself. If someone's not prepared to listen, then they'll never do it.
Eric Glenn in the chat room has got a question. At what point do you teach your students it's time to stop? No, 1 no, 2 no, 3 no's. When?
Personally, you can read until the cows come home. Eric, you know this too. People will have you reading for hours and hours and hours and hours. I always say to people, look, I'm just going to say, what is the most important thing? This is what I say to my students. What is the most important message that you would like to get across for your client right at the moment? Ask Spirit that, and then stop. Give them time to process it. Say, look, that's all I've got. Can you just have a think about that before I give you anything else? Because the human brain only has a capacity to store a limited amount of information. If you're given a ton of information, then it'll go into overload and they'll blur it, and then everything will become rubbish. Yeah. So that's a great thing to teach your students. Get them to ask you 3 questions. Leave it alone. Ask Spirit to tell you or give you a message that's the most important for this person. 3 of them, leave it alone.
Okay, so 3 questions. I like that one. And
Let Spirit decide. Do not let your person decide. You are reading for a person. If Spirit says, I really want to talk to you about your job, and I go, I only want about my relationship, who are you going to defer to? Because Spirit has the big picture information. Your client may be holding on to their tiny jigsaw puzzle piece and going, actually, I only want the jigsaw puzzle piece. Some player, what I call a player, is in the bigger picture, there'll be some relevance there that's actually really important as well. Give what you feel needs to be given. Do not let your client dictate the reading seriously.
Yeah, that's one thing I say that I said when my clients come to me, which is, anyway, I ask them to have one question. Because sometimes, like I know for myself, I'll be like, well, I have this question. Though, mind you, when I have a question here, the answers are popping up in the back of my head and going, okay, darling, don't ask that question because it's not there. So that people have so many questions. So I like the idea that you have, I'll tell my clients, have one question that you verbalize. And I've never asked, but I like the idea that I have never asked Spirit to say, okay, give me 3 things. Because then it puts a limit to it. But if Spirit decides there's 4 things, well then yay for Spirit. But I ask my clients to have one question that they verbalize, which sort of opens up, to me, it opens up the floodgates of all the other questions I want to ask, but you're afraid to ask, or you think you already know the answer, or you don't know the answer, and the message come out and it's just like, aha, I knew that, but I didn't, so.
Absolutely. And don't forget, they're looking at it from a human perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit is looking at it from a spirit perspective. So as they look into our lives, then they see at times that things that we're trying to hide from ourselves or avoid, because we're fantastic at that, that may be really important, 2 months down the track or 1 month down the track. I quite often say to Spirit, bring me the person who is most important to this person for their reading, please, and also talk about the information that is most pertinent to this person right at the moment. You have control over how you're working with Spirit and how you want to work with Spirit. So, it's nothing more frustrating than going for a reading and someone says, oh, you've got a feather above your head. And you go, what does that mean? They go, oh, I don't know, there's just a feather there. Why haven't you gone back to Spirit and said, what's the white feather about? Why is it appearing around them? Question, question, question. The more you question Spirit, the more information they will give you. You just sometimes haven't stopped to ask.
Yeah. Carrie in the chat room says, I had one of those a while ago. Sat down with a pen and paper and expected me to channel straight from Spirit. I was like, what? Seriously? I ended up not reading or charging her. And that's left a bad taste in her mouth. She's not listening and has to learn to get the messages herself and not use the intuitives as the easy route. A hard lesson for many spiritual or intuitive people to have to learn at some stage.
And that's the spoon-fed people, I call them. The ones with a bib on, that they want to open their mouth and you just spoon the information in. They are the ones that will pick apart every single reading that you do as well. And they're the best ones for you to call it on, because you're not a performing seal. You're so not a performing seal. You are working your gift for the highest good possible to get information as well. If people like that, here's what I'd say to them very seriously. I would say to them, take some time out, get a piece of paper, get a pen, start to work with Spirit yourself as well, because clearly you have some rules and conditions with them. And I think you need to explore that rather than expecting me to explore that. So quite often shifting it back onto the person to say, you sort out what you need to do and I'll give what I do. But if there's a difference in disparity in between that, you go off and do that yourself, knock yourself out. Because most people that are working with Spirit have practiced for years and years to develop their gift. Why should you be told how to give your gift for someone else? And that's perfect. What you did was absolutely perfect. Just call it. It's your gift. Close the session and they stomp off. Seriously, they stomp off. One just slammed out of my house the other day and said, I can't believe how impossibly rude you are. And I said, thank you, but this is also my house and my time, and I get to call it. So good on you. Well done.
Yes. Have you ever had a client? Now, I know this somebody in the chat room has that happen often, who continuously messages you and more and more and more, whether they're willing to pay for it or not. They're not happy with, I give you this, but they come back and go, yeah, but what? And a couple of days later, but can you do? Yeah.
Yeah,
reading
absolutely.
junkies. Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, pick a number. My inbox has like 65 messages a day, if not more, saying, can you? At the end of the day, I turn it around straight away and I go, oh, I really appreciate your question, but Spirit is telling me you have your own answer for this. And seriously turn it back to them again as well, because at the end of the day, you're never going to win it. And I'm just looking at also in the chat room, Carrie, gorgeous person. What you need to do is you need to do this for yourself. Now, everybody can do this. Just sit with yourself about that person and say, I give myself permission to allow that person to have their journey without being caught up in their stuff, and I let it go, so be it. And that's a great little technique to just free yourself from carrying a burden that somebody else wants you to carry that makes you feel really bad that you didn't help that person. Some people are not meant to be fixed, but you have to come back to giving permission to yourself to say, I give myself permission, it's not my stuff, I let it go, so be it, and it's gone. Because seriously, 100 people will love you and 100 people hate you, and it will have nothing to do with you.
As Scott says, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Perfect, absolutely. And there's lots of monkeys. And when you're a cat and you have some spiritual awareness and you're surrounded by monkeys, we just get to suck it up and honour that that's what they need to do, but we don't have to buy into it as well. So important, to either redirect those people. If you don't give information to people in your inbox, or answer the question, they do go away. They go away. So at the end of the day, it's important to say either make yourself available or make yourself unavailable. My quick fix is to go back to them and say, everyone on the earth plane has their own answer. I'm sure you can work this out, because otherwise you just keep feeding and feeding and feeding information.
Okay, quick note, anybody, for some reason my keyboard then stuck. If anybody has questions in the chat room, put them in capitals so I can read them, because kitty cat, something flashy, I'll see something else, and if it's in caps, I actually pay attention more. I tried, because otherwise I'm not paying attention to my guests, I'm paying attention to Scott talking about his monkeys. No, I'm not vain, because I have glasses, but I'm not wearing them. But trust me, I put the print bigger so I can see the old lady's vision. Is there any time during your voyage that you've kind of sort of said, I'm done, I can't, I want to close everything down, and and for an indefinite period of time, not just like a couple of hours or a couple of days, but is there ever been a time that you kind of sort of said, I'm done with this? And spirit.
I'm just thinking that's probably on a daily basis, because our upstairs are really helpful with this. If you get out of balance and you let people take over your life, basically, then you can push yourself to a point of frustration that you cannot see enough people or get in enough people, and you feel like you're letting them down. That is part of your own earth plane evolution, for you to realise that you're having a human journey as well, and balance is really, really important. The one key with it when I'm stepping into frustration is acknowledging that I've created it for a start. I created that. So I have gone back and actually said to myself, I give myself permission. That's a big one for me. I do it a lot. I give myself permission to understand I'm allowed to say no, that I created this and I can equally uncreate it. So upstairs also does, when I do that, they go, bring it back to love. Bring it back to love, because they're just being human. Stop picking on them for being human, getting cross with them. You're being human too, and it's allowable. So it's really, really important to not be, as I said, beating yourself up all the time to say, I need to do this 100% right all the time. Surrendering to just going, I need some time out. Have some time out. Find your balances. I have a lovely saying which is really quite rude. Someone will contact me and go, I've got major drama and it will be 11 o'clock at night. And I'll go, did someone die? And they go, no. And I go, well, it's not that important then. Because for me, that's the worst possible thing, is someone died. So if it's not that bad, then it can wait. And you'll find the people that you're not available for, you'll be surprised at how quick they sort out their stuff by themselves. You're not indispensable. It is about pulling it back and going, I need to put a balance in. And that's, I say to all my students, you're going to have to learn this, because someone will test you on this, and it's an illumination where if you don't claim your time as being precious, then other people won't value it either. So it's a learned thing. Seriously, it's a learned thing. So, we all get earth plane frustrations. this is a very frustrating place. Bringing it back to love is the best possible thing you can do. Like, I just think, oh, that person's really aggravating. Look at how beautiful they are. And they chose a earth plane journey with such courage, such hope, such love, and then I'm back on track again. So it's all good.
Okay. I had a question, and then Eric Glynn's thing with the mankini kind of sort of threw me off.
For those thanks, Eric. For those highly visual people, we all just had a heart attack.
Eric has a guide, Teddy, who's very he likes to shock or tries to shock Eric. So mankini, tutus. Okay, I'm gone. But have you ever had a student that has so much self-doubt that they stop themselves from progressing?
Absolutely, all the time.
Not that they doubted spirit, but that they doubted themselves and how they worked with spirit.
Yep, and that's one of the hardest things when you're teaching students. That is the hardest thing to counter, the doubt. And it's really funny because what I have a tendency to do is hand out, those squeezy stress balls? I will hand out squeezy stress balls to people in workshops. And they're so busy concentrating on squeezing the stress balls that it comes out their mouth anyway. Because they don't have enough energy to blur focus. So they can't go, they're trying to think about squeezing the ball and get information. So you can override that doubt bit and actually get them to blurt it out. The key is distraction. So it's working with them to distract them enough to be able to get the information past logical brain, which says, I can't do this. Those people I also get to envisage stuff with their eyes open, because if you shut your eyes while you're trying to get information and you have a doubt, you will probably not be able to see it because you put too much pressure on yourself. So there's little techniques that you can use to outmaneuver people's doubts. 1, 2, 3 information works really well. So if you can get information very quick from spirit, then I use with people with really big doubts the 1, 2, 3 method. So you're going to have an answer for this in 1, 2, 3. What did you get? And then they're like thrown under the bus terribly, but they're like, I got that. And so it's just techniques to outmaneuver those doubts so that you can actually get them to sit into ownership. And then if they're in ownership, then you go, right, now tell yourself, well done, I got something. Because then you're starting to override the fear of getting it wrong, because it's the fear of getting it wrong that causes the problem. True. Start with colours with them as well. So do that 1, 2, 3, what colour have you got? What colour have you got? 1, 2, 3, what colour? By the time they've got to the third colour, they're not using rational mind, they're actually using spirit. So you just outmaneuver them. That's really, really quick way of getting people to actually take a little bit more ownership as well. And it's part of their journey to learn it, because accepting themselves, their connection to spirit, these are crucial things for them to learn, or they'll never give out the information. And so we'll say to people, it was never your information in the first place, so why are you holding on to it? It's just giving people tools to work with themselves, so that they can give themselves the permission to work with other people.
Okay. Do you have hold on a second. The difference between someone that sat in a circle and someone working with spirit is 5 letters. Trust, T-R-U-S-T. Thanks, Gemini.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Sugar. Do you have students that are in-house and students? Do you as well do students via Skype or some other method?
I internationally mentor people, and I also internationally teach people. So quite often because I can see auras and feel energy, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I'll probably still call you on the fact that you got information, but you're trying to tell me that you haven't got information. So I have a tendency to outmaneuver people both here in the physical and online, because usually specific colours appear in people's auras when they did get information. And also it's tools and techniques, help people to build their, I call it their code. Now your code is how you work with spirit, with the Play-Doh in your head, and how spirit works with you. And developing those are just as much for you as they are for spirit. Seriously.
I like the Play-Doh in mind.
Yeah, it is. It's really symbolic. Like, if you're, this is the way it works for me. The quick fix works is this. So if I thought of a boy racer car, then I have a specific New Zealand car in my mind that I associate with a speeding young man or whatever. Now, to short circuit it, spirit will show me that particular car, and I'll go, oh, you've got a son that's a boy racer. And they go, oh, yes, but they don't know that the car that I've been shown is probably not a car that's owned by this young man. It's just Spirit's shortcut with my Play-Doh, because in my Play-Doh brain, that's a car that I recognise to do with being a boy racer or a speeding young man. So you're learning in your code to work with what works for you, uniquely with spirit, so you can get quick information. I love teaching people how to do that, because then there's no expectation of getting it right or getting it wrong. You're only working with your own brain and what makes sense to you that spirit's playing off. And this is why people will say to me, why didn't I get that person's name right? And I'll go, is it a name that you know very well? And they go, no. And I go, well, you might not have had any Play-Doh to pick up that name. You might have names that are really, really common to you. You might not have got that information. So go back to them, ask for an initial. Go ask for a letter. Just ask for something you're more comfortable with your code. Because, we still, doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you can still think to yourself, oh, I hope I get that right. Everyone does it. It's human nature.
Okay. I've put into the chat room your website, your WordPress, because your spirit whispers are something that just, I look for them every day, as often as I can. So I figured I found the WordPress, so now I go there. So, and I put your Facebook page. So if anybody wants to connect with Jacqueline, send her a message, one of these places, and y'all can. But I think I'm going to be talking to you about teaching.
Eric's naughty man must be wearing a tuxedo by the looks of things. Does he normally wear a tuxedo, Teddy? he's kind of like, he's naughty, actually. He's really naughty. Trust you to have collected one like that, Eric. That's all I can say.
It has a thing for penguins. So there's your...
Well, I just kind of feel like I want to actually be taken to almost like a kind of 1920s kind of, ball kind of era with him, because he's just got, he likes being the life of the party by the looks of it. So, yeah, he's quite funny. So, he's just a bit naughty. I can see why he's trying to also corrupt Eric into doing all sorts of naughty things, actually, which is great. Oh, please.
Yeah, said he passed in 1932. It's fun because Eric, he was able to trace his guide, introduce himself while Eric was in the shower one day. He was able to trace Teddy back. He even got to speak to, I believe it was his great-granddaughter, so that she sort of confirmed that Teddy was who he was, or who he said he was, sort of thing. So, but yeah.
it's absolutely fantastic. Speaking of guides as well, though, I did notice across the cosmos 3 days ago, 3 to 4 days ago, that we have had a big collective guide shift. So there's new guides coming in around everybody right at the moment. So it's to do with the next upsurge of energy that's coming in from the 15th of this month. And there's a guide shuffle going on, as well as a soul contract reshuffle going on with relationships as well. So lots and lots of stuff in the pipeline right at the moment.
What is a soul contract?
Soul contracts, we're in relationship with self energy at the moment, and we're heading into emotional equality. Because of that, our soul contracts are with other people, with ourselves, and they're getting an overhaul right at the moment. So it's why a lot of people can actually feel very unsettled in themselves, very restless, but unmotivated. It is a lot to do with the next phase that's actually coming in. So as we release old soul contracts, which can be to do with multi-level learning that we've had up to this period of time, and revise and get new soul contracts for our purpose, we're heading into the next stage. So a soul contract can be with ourselves about what we're supposed to learn, can be with other people what we're supposed to learn from them as well. So there's a big cosmic reshuffle going on right at the moment.
Okay, Eric sent me a picture of Teddy.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome.
So we're going to get it to upload a couple of seconds. Hopefully it's only a couple of seconds. Upload. So this will just, it'll pop into the section as we speak. There is. As I call him, Thaddeus.
Actually, look at his photograph. He's actually an extremely clever person. Very entrepreneurial brain. Absolutely so quick-witted. He had an answer for absolutely everything. Hated being told what to do. And very much wanted to actually make quite a mark in this world. And I don't actually think that he got to make as big a mark as what he wanted. And I've also got a feeling around him around frustration around his passing as well, because he probably would have liked to live to be about 200 this one, so that he could busily both inspire people but kind of corrupt people into looking at themselves as well. He's a very clever man.
Oh gosh,
That's very awesome.
And yes, he's very handsome.
Well, yes, he did terribly like the ladies by the looks of things, because he's got a very flirty quality about him from spirit, which is a bit naughty. And he's not as young. He's not as young as I can see him in that photograph as well, but he particularly likes that photograph.
Right, I'm going to turn on my Eric. I'm going to turn on and open your mic, darling. Okay, he's open. Yeah, this is another picture of Teddy in a chess team.
Yeah, Teddy thought that he was very clever. He loved to be in charge, and that's him with more weight on, and he's the one with the glasses in the back, standing looking like he's just messed his underwear. And he was head of the chess team, the chess society, as you have there. On the other hand, you were saying, Jacqueline, that he seemed to be very intelligent. And I don't know how intelligent it can be to get drunk out of your school and wrap your car around a tree. But that's basically how he passed. He is the first person to say that he loved the ladies. He is the first person to say that he was not a nice person when he was here. And that is why I'm stuck with him now, because basically he's come back to try and make amends. The trouble is that he still had his attitude. And
yes, patronising.
Yeah, well, he does. Let's just say that he doesn't suffer fools gladly. And up to now, I've actually had him at one point slap somebody in a spiritualist church.
Oh my word! Well, that
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me. His personality is very much. I would not have put him in a conventional schooling system because he's too intelligent. Like, he's very satirical, a little bit patronising, very quick. You know, he'd outmaneuver any situation that he was actually in to his advantage, just to make the other person look kind of foolish. And I do think that part of it for him, as well, as he's born with a chip on his shoulder, he's just said to me. So I do think that conventional schooling would have just absolutely frustrated him. And he just said that he loved chess because he could outmaneuver the other person quite successfully, and again reduce them to feeling like an underling, which is really terrible. But
Yeah, well, the thing is that Teddy's family had money. They were involved in import and export on the south coast. And the thing with Teddy is that he never had to work. So therefore he used to spend his days basically just degrading the staff. And that is the reason that he is back. Because once he passed to the other side, he realised that, he wasn't supposed to do that. And that was quite nice. So he came back. But he still doesn't suffer fools gladly. And if we're doing a reading and the person isn't taking the messages where they're supposed to be taking the messages, then let's just say I've got a lot of filtering to do of the words that are coming through my head. Because he does tend to erupt. I've actually had him walk out on me and have to take over with my grandmother, who was my gatekeeper, who has had to take over to continue the reading because Teddy got the lip and decided it was time to spit his toys out of the pram and disappeared out of the room. And
it doesn't surprise me in the least. He really does value intelligence, and yet, you know, I'd imagine if he found somebody, by the looks of things, that was actually more intelligent than he was, that he would be incredibly cutting with him as well. So he's very much, he's very intriguing because he is extremely entrepreneurial, but he has an infinite, almost slight laziness of entitlement to do with this as well. So he's making me laugh.
yeah, it's all right. You know that he's there with you in your house, don't you? Yeah, because he's actually just having a look round. This is what he does when he goes and he just has a look round. And his words to me were, "Please don't shoot the messenger." He said, "My good woman, I would sack the cleaner."
He's probably a little bit out of date to do with it because my house is on the market, so it's immaculately tidy at the moment. And
no, it's not.
Usually that tidy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Go and have a look. He says, "No, it's not." He said, he says if you move into not the room next to you, but the room next to that, you'll find that somebody has either moved something or has touched something, and it will drive you bananas because basically I don't know if it's the entrance to the house or somewhere in, and it was one of the first things that you wanted people to see, and I don't know if somebody's moved an ornament or moved something that you thought was going to be clever, because Teddy says, no, he says she's not, he says I still would sack the cleaner. And because that's all that Teddy just doesn't say no for an answer. Teddy thinks he's right all the time. The hard part most of the time he is.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. If anybody's had to keep their house tidy for open homes, it's an absolute nightmare anyways. I'd be surprised he's from the house anyway, but it's frustrating.
Why have you got soft toys on a bed or something? He's talking about there's something on a bed. I don't know if it's a soft toy or something that's placed. He says it's placed on a bed, so I don't know. Maybe you can have a look at that later on. And he's just trying to come up with things that's going to knock your socks off. That's all it is.
Oh, okay. No, because I've got teenagers, so no teenage boys. So there's no soft toys. There's just two dogs probably sitting where they shouldn't be. Probably.
No, No, that would be very easy for me to say yes, but he's saying no. It's some kind of toy, some kind of thing. I don't know if one of the dogs has left to chew on it or something like that, but I just don't know what's going on. But he's saying no. And were you oh God, Teddy, no. All right. Have you found somewhere that you want to go and live?
No.
Okay. Before the end of May.
Yes. That's what upstairs has said.
Yeah. It's before the end of May, you will have found somewhere. Whether you've completed by then, he's not saying. He's just saying you will have found somewhere. And you will be like, yeah. Yeah. Why is it got to be beside water?
Oh, because that's me. I'm a sea girl.
Right, okay. Right, okay. He's talking about a brook or a stream leading to the sea. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that he's talking about.
Awesome.
And I don't know, but somebody in your family would like to have a porch as well on the outside of the house.
Oh, I'm because of my grandmother in spirit, who I was talking about, great grandmother in spirit, had a porch that she taught me while we would shell peas for Christmas dinner. She would teach me about spirit. So I particularly love old houses with porches or verandas and things like that. So I'm a character house person. So
I don't know why, right? But I'm seeing, and it's not for that reason, but I'm seeing, you know the house from Amityville Horror?
yes. Sadly, yes, I do.
Yeah, that's style of house. Although without all the things that went on in it. But I'm seeing like a porch going like halfway around the house, and I'm seeing like, but and honest to God, I don't know why, but he's just putting this in my head, and I'll just run with what Teddy says. But you're writing something as well, aren't you?
Well, I write horrors, Eric.
Yeah, right, okay. Just stop there because he's saying that there's something that I don't know if you're researching it or you're looking into it, but it's something that if somebody pulled up your laptop or your computer and had a look at it, they would probably think you're a mass murderer.
Slightly.
Just slightly. Yeah. The thing is that like when you look at somebody's computer and it's got things like decapitation, amputation, hanging, poisoning, what different kinds of thing would do what. This kind of thing tends to lead people that you're a mass murderer.
Awesome. I could revisit
or you're a horror writer.
I could revisit those lives ago.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, that if he says it's either a mass murderer or a horror writer, so you're on it. And I just feel though that there's something in the overall. What? Hang on a minute while I have a conversation with this idiot. Right. He's talking about the overall ambience of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he said, if you could see all of spirit, they would be heading out the door to the new house.
Okay.
Right? Not that they're going, it's just that this is the feeling that it's time to move on.
Yes.
And the spirit's like all packing up their belongings and getting their bags together, and they're all getting ready to move with you.
Yes, they've attended.
Who's got the bad back? Somebody's got a bad back.
No.
No, you can look over there all you want. Somebody got a bad back. It's a lower back problem. Like, is it like aching in the lower back?
Right.
Okay, ask
no.
one of the kids. Ask one of the kids, he says.
Okay.
Okay, just ask them because they really need to have it sorted out. I think they're just sort of like thinking it's a bit of a cramp or something, but it's nothing to do with that. Carrie, I would love to say that it's for you, but unfortunately, I'm looking at the lady on the screen and I haven't done cock eye yet. Right. To karate, Teddy's sort of doing a karate chop. I don't know if something around it. Oh. First of all, somebody around and about you hasn't lived up to their expectations.
Their expectations or mine?
Your expectations of them.
That would be correct, yes.
Yes, because I just want to remove the knife from your back.
Ooh, okay.
Right? Because I just feel as if you're being stabbed in the back.
Okay.
By whoever it is he's talking about. And why? Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of the Long Island medium. Okay? I think it's a very, very staged show. And I feel as if your pet hate is the dog and pony show if you go out. You know, if people know what you do and then you turn up at a restaurant and people coming over going, excuse me, is my granny here? You know,
Yeah.
or, yeah. And the thing is that I've got that, and Teddy says that's great. It's absolutely wonderful because I know the attitude you've been saying is one of, yeah, if it doesn't work, just don't do it. And it's as easy as that. And my Gran Nelly would be absolutely over the moon because she was a firm believer in the fact of putting people in their place. I've got to say though that there's something about how you work, what you do, the way you do it, that you're trying to change. And I don't know why, but this is what she's just telling me. There's something about the thing that you're trying to change. It's not that we're all trying to better ourselves. I don't know. This is specifically something to do with the way could be the way you stand, could be the way you don't fidget when you give a message, the way that you don't. You know, it's something that that you're working on changing to try and, because I don't know if you saw yourself and you went, ooh. I did, yeah.
I think I think that I work a lot on evolution of self, and I've been working on old core programming, genetic programming, inner child programming. I do like to explore. I mean, originally I was taught what I call old school medium ways as well, and I just do think that they do have to change with the times. We're an evolving society as well, so I constantly do revisit doing things differently, looking at things differently as well, because one of my, which may be correct, one of my pet understandings is we can become very complacent in reading in a specific way or working with people in a specific way, and we need to kind of be working on ourselves as much as working with other people. So that's one of the things that I am looking at changing this year, is how I turn up for myself as well as how I turn up for other people. So I think that's a good thing, to kind of not pedestalize yourself, but still be the student as well. So that's very important for me to keep kind of working in that way.
Yeah. Nellie's reminding me that she said I had to pass on to you because this is what she does. Nellie said that she only had two major rules, and she taught me these when I was a child. The first rule being, spirit is the star. You are a mouthpiece. Remember that.
Yeah.
And rule number 2, if you start thinking you're the star, reread rule number 1.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, this is exactly the same person who taught me there is no wrong way in connecting with spirit, just different ways of getting it right.
Yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree with that. I think that I can't do this work without spirit. And at the end of the day, I've said, and I teach my students this as well, like, his ego is such a really important thing to me to do as well, that basically you can claim as much kudos as you possibly like, But at the end of the day, and it's a terrible saying that I have, everybody poos in a toilet, everybody eats food. So at the end of the day, if you want to get on a hobby horse about what you're able to create and what you're able to do, then you will fall. That's the way it works, because normally Spirit will just withhold information if we're getting too cocky. And I love that, because we're supposed to be human as well as humble. And I totally agree with you agreeing about that, 100%.
Yeah, Teddy's just chimed in and said even the Queen farts. But never mind. That's, listen, I could let Teddy loose all night and you know, just let him go.
And he's right.
That's actually a wonderful. Yeah, there's a wonderful question from Diane Jane in the chat room. So I'm going to bring Teddy back to me, leave you alone, so that he doesn't go around knocking ornaments over and moving things around in your house. And I'll drag him back to me. So 1, 2, 3, Teddy, come back. Okay, right, he's fine. He's fine. Teddy's fine about it because he's away to watch golf. Okay, darling, you can shut me up again. There we are. First time in a long.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Shutting Eric up. I don't know if it's an option or not. But yes, Diane in the chat room has asked, what are your thoughts on evidential mediumship with no message?
There's always usually a message. So can I ask what that means a little bit more?
Diane. A little more detail on that question, darling.
Meaning bringing a person through and saying that they passed of a heart attack and they were this age or they died this way, but there was no message? I'm not too sure what that means.
The show, had a medium sort of reading.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the show, when we stop recording, can you hang around for a couple extra minutes?
Sure.
Okay, somebody has something to say, but they don't want to say it on cam, on recording. Oh, I should.
Had a medium sort of reading.
Whoop. I think she's gonna share her mic and she's gonna come on mic. Nope, she lost her sound. Diane, you could share your mic and actually come on mic and just, Jacqueline doesn't bite.
Much.
The boys do. How do we do that? Where you went and shared your Scott? Where you went and shared your mic, your speaker? I'll ask you if you want to share your mic and just say yes. But there's that little headphone thingy-majiggy. Yeah. See, now this way she'll know how to do it when she comes on and is a guest on my show. Sorry.
Awesome.
Okay. Brian. I only knock you out of the room and block you. Brian's my test. Okay. It didn't work. Poor Brian. Oh no. It doesn't want to work. Okay. Well, continue typing in there. Like Jacqueline said, most evidential mediums have readings have some kind of message, but maybe you just didn't. Just didn't see.
Well, if someone's coming to you and they say, I have a lady with you and she had dark hair and I felt like she was quite severe when she was here and she had 8 children or whatever, and they're giving evidence of who that person is that's with you, and then they say that they don't have any more, there's nothing else there, then that can be that they're just wanting to let you know who they've got around you, and you can say to them, have you got any more information that you want to pass on? And Spirit says no. Well, then you're just caught with, with just being able to pass on that the person's got that person with them. Sometimes that can be a little bit frustrating, or sometimes it's just the message is the awareness that that person's there. And I don't actually have anything to say. Like quite often my dad's on the other side. Very rarely do people pick him up. They pick up my father-in-law more than him, because my dad was really quietly spoken and didn't talk to a lot of people. So at the end of the day, you know, it comes down to sometimes it's very much what spirit wants to give and whether they actually want to give something as well. So
Okay, I just
it
turned you
depends on them.
I just turned you on, Diane.
Oh, hello.
You're ready to go. Okay.
Hi, Diane.
Hi. That question I asked, I went to a spiritualist church last night.
Yep.
And she brought through two of my aunties, but all she said was what I already knew about them. There was no message at all. It's that she was from Arthur Findlay College in the UK.
Okay.
And the people that trained there actually don't do messages. They just give the 7 points of mediumship, and that's it. It's just evidential.
Okay. So
I really came away from there feeling like, well, okay, but what's next? No, they didn't. She didn't actually give me a message.
Okay. Sometimes it just depends. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it actually depends on the reader as well. Some people, if they're not comfortable enough giving that information or giving more information, they come through with just who you have around you. And it's interesting because, you know, I've been reading for people full time for 8 years, and you get some people, they are interested in who they have around them, but they want a message about what's going on in their life, or they just want to talk to the person that's passed and they want all the information about the person that's passed. It really does tend to be what the reader is prepared to actually pass on or what they're prepared to bring through. So she may have had her perception that she just wanted to give you information about who was around you, not specifically any message that they had to pass on to you. So that can be, they can be perfectly okay with that, but you can be quite frustrated by that as well. So it just depends on the person that's actually relaying the information. It totally depends on them.
Well, she's the third evidential medium I've seen, and the lady that I actually went with, she had a message too, but wasn't no message. There was no message in any of the readings she did. It was
Okay,
just
so
her
that
giving evidential evidence that we have people on the other side.
Yeah, so part of the actual, normally I find when people do that, it's because that the reader, the person that's receiving the information, isn't 100% comfortable with passing on any more information rather than giving evidence that those people are actually around you. So I know that it can be quite frustrating, especially like the colours that you have around you. Very, very intuitive yourself, and you value any wisdom that is actually passed on. So that can be incredibly frustrating when you have a reader, and believe me, it is just a reader that actually stops at that threshold of only giving you evidence about the answer that you have on the other side. You know, if you've got an awareness or a lot of intuition, then you can go, well, what was the point of doing that? But for that particular reader, she may be really just wanting to be conclusive about, I can bring these people forward, but not wanting to step into relatively unknown territory about talking, letting them give, you know, an information that might be specific to you. That can happen quite a lot, unfortunately. It does come down to which reader decides to give which information.
Well, apparently Arthur Findlay only do the 7 points of mediumship. Now I had that because of the way I do readings, he could call me just the psychic, not the medium. But while I was watching her work, I actually had this thing that I do what she does, but I give a message. So I was wondering why there was no. And are they? Is it just because that's the way they're just trained to do that, or is there
Very, very much so. There's a very, certainly, and I've found, and I read all over the world, in specific countries, and I've rubbed up against this a little bit to do with the UK as well, is that they have very set rules between what's a psychic, and what's a medium. You know, they're very, very completely different entities as well. And they do have a set criteria that they do train their people in to fit into those distinct categories and keep them separate categories. And do think that it's a guideline, it's a training guideline, but I do feel that, as I said, in the awarenesses that you have yourself, is that you're wanting to stretch that to the connection of mediumship with the people on the other side, but also the inherent value of advice that comes from the other side. And I think that that's your personal ethic about how you want to work. But I do think most learning institutes to do with paranormal do try and have a very specific criteria to keep people at a specific level. And I do think it's limiting. Personally, I think it's limiting, seriously, because I do think that there's value in both techniques, but sometimes it is a starting point to help people get more confidence as well. And you do fit into the category with your colours as well of being a psychic medium, where you can stretch across both those realms to just get information. So it can be a little bit frustrating when you come up against people that have been taught a certain way, but if that's their institutional criteria, then they will actually hold themselves to actually read that way for experience or for a threshold to meet an organisation, and that happens incredibly more often than what people realise. I hope that makes sense.
How's that, Diane?
Very frustrating.
Very frustrating. Okay.
Well, it is, but there's no. It's like anything to do with spirit. You know, I've worked in chat rooms where I've talked about galactic federations of light, and and it's gone down really badly. And talked about quantum energy, and it's gone down really badly. It depends where your personal interest is. And you can decide at various points in your life whether that's frustrating to you or they're just on a different wavelength. You can put it this way: you can, be Land Rover people and all the Peugeot people get their nose out of joint. So it's not specific to the psychic medium and the mediumship side of things. It's just different criteria that people get trained under, different organisations, and that's what I mean about that clutching that jigsaw puzzle piece and going, no, you have to do it this way, or where you define your level of understanding and your level of teaching sits for you. In everywhere along the way, as far as I've seen over my lifetime and working with a lot of spiritual people, is we can go and get trained in a development circle or trained in an institution or to a set standard, and then we can actually branch off with spirit to learn with the Play-Doh in our head exactly what suits us as well. And there's a lady in New Zealand, she's really lovely, well-known medium. She takes on the Skeptic Society all the time to prove a point. I certainly couldn't be bothered. I have more time to do things than I can be bothered taking on the Skeptic Society, because I have no barrow to push to do with that. So it certainly does come down to people's personal interests about how they want to explore things. And I think sometimes we just have to accept criteria and ways people do things and then decide what works for us, because ultimately the success that we have with spirit is actually governed by how we work with ourselves, our own levels of acceptance, and what we're prepared to give that person. I don't believe there's any right or wrong with it. I believe there's just, how people were trained or how they were taught, or all of that actually comes into play.
Rick, didn't want to put any.
You're breaking up, Diane. Sorry.
Very much.
She said, "Thank you very much." I'm going to mute you again, darling. We're going to get your sound fixed because you're going to be coming on my show. It is pretty much close to the time of our covers. So I'm going to wrap it up. You will stick around for a couple extra minutes after we record, that somebody wants to have wants to have a little word with you. I want to thank everybody in the chat room who's still here and who has come on. Brian, you know I love you. Carrie, Cheryl, Diane, thank you for coming inside. I could finally get to hear your voice. Eric and Teddy can't have a show without you both. Jennifer, Scott, Sharon, and Supernatural Radio, and Supergirl. I thank you all for coming, and it's been a great time. Is there anything? This has been a true blast, and you and I, we will talk at a later date about something that you sort of perked my interest on. First off, thank you everybody for coming in. And if anybody do one more time, let's see if I can get this done right. I'm going to post the links to your website, to your WordPress, and to your Facebook page if anybody wants to connect with Jacqueline. You can't go wrong following Jacqueline. She's like amazing. And you can also follow her on I post all your stuff on Instagram. So it's there too. There you go.
Awesome.
I'm a share happy. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you all next week when I can't remember who's on, but I'll tell you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
And